So let's start a poll here for a minute. All right, final 10 seconds here. All right, let's see. Okay, lots of response for B. Which of the following components of the male reproductive system is directly responsible for the synthesis and secretion of testosterone and other androgens? So a lot of you selected B Sertoli cells, but it's actually A. So it is not the Sertoli cells that secrete testosterone or our other androgens. The Sertoli cells are responsible for spermatogenesis, so that is the maturation of the spermatogonium to become a spermatozoa and then eventually a mature sperm. It is also responsible for secreting inhibin. Hang on here, there's a few people still. Okay. It's also responsible for secreting inhibin. So Sertoli cells, spermatogenesis, and secretion of inhibin. And inhibin is actually responsible for that negative feedback loop to decrease the secretion from the anterior pituitary. The Leydig cells are responsible for testosterone secretion and for androgen secretion, and they're going to help influence the Sertoli cells with spermatogenesis. Okay, so the answer here should have been the Leydig cells. They are responsible for secreting the hormones that are responsible for spermatogenesis, but spermatogenesis itself is done by the Sertoli cells. Okay. Seminiferous tubules are the duct-like structures that line the testes. This is where the Sertoli cells are found. These don't really secrete anything, but it is along the lining of these cells, it is along the adjacent cell structures that we see the maturation of sperm. The epididymis is also another part of where sperm develops. So these are the tubes that are associated with the testis itself, and this is where spermatozoa become spermatocytes. So the actual cells, after they're matured, they gain their tail, they become motile. This all happens along the epididymis. Okay, so make sure you go back and look at that route that sperm take as they mature. They start in the seminiferous tubules, which are lined by the Sertoli cells. They then go to the rete testes, a part of the testes. They then go to the efferent ductule, then to the epididymis, then to the vas deferens. Okay, and they're kind of gaining their motility, growing. They're losing some of their other organelles to prevent them from being held down as they make their journey toward fertilization. All right, so the answer here would have been A, the Leydig cells responsible for testosterone and androgens. Okay, let's look at another. Final 10 seconds. Okay. So a lot of response for B here. Which of the following is not a function of Sertoli cells? And B is synthesis and secretion of LH or luteinizing hormone, and that is absolutely correct. So Sertoli cells are secreting that luminal fluid. They're transporting the nutrients that help the developing sperm, right, along with being a part of that seminiferous tubule. And they manufacture and secrete androgen binding protein, which helps to regulate the level of androgens in the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. So these three things they do. B, they do not. So secretion of LH is a function of the anterior pituitary and not a function of the cells of the testes. Okay. All right. Answer here would have been B. Let's look at two more. Final few seconds. Okay. So lots of response here for C. Which of the following is not a function of testosterone? So testosterone is going to promote spermatogenesis together with FSH. It is going to help with the growth and development of the accessory reproductive organs, so things like the seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, the bulbourethral glands, all of that is developed with the help of testosterone. And then it's going to maintain the secondary sex characteristics. So that's going to be the deepening of the voice in males, the enlarged muscular structures, and the other general sex characteristics for males. All of that is done with testosterone. C, which is stimulating the secretion of gonadotropins, is not a function of testosterone. If you think back to the endocrine system that we talked about, it's going to be gonadotropin releasing hormone released from the hypothalamus that stimulates LH and FSH from the anterior pituitary. So that's going to be the hormone axis for the reproductive hormones. We start with GnRH from the hypothalamus. That will then stimulate the anterior pituitary to release gonadotropins, which are LH and FSH. Okay, and that is not going to be a function of testosterone. All right, so the answer here would have been C. And then let's look at one final question. Okay, last few seconds. All right, let's see. Okay, a lot of response for A. Which component of the mature sperm contains enzymes and other proteins essential for fusion with the egg? And so A is correct. Many of you selected A. That is the acrosome. It's going to be a part of the head of the sperm. Also within the head, we find the nucleus, which has the chromosomes. All of that is in the head. But the acrosome specifically is the very ending or the very tip of the head of the sperm. That has the enzymes. It's also got a little bit of fructose for energy. Whereas the mitochondria, which is option D here, that has, or that is found rather within the midpiece. Okay, so the head has the acrosome, the nucleus that has the chromosomal information inside, and then the midpiece has the mitochondria, and then the tail itself is where we see that whip-like motility that allows the sperm to move. All right, so A would have been the correct answer here, acrosome.